Launching a brand new hotel, it doesn't just happen by magic. It's actually a carefully orchestrated project that starts months, sometimes even years, before that very first guest ever walks through the door. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the master plan that makes it all possible, the commercial pre-opening critical path. Hello and welcome. I'm pleased to welcome all students of Europe Hotel School to this online learning journey. We're about to dive deep into a topic that is absolutely essential for anyone looking to build a career in hospitality leadership. So here's our roadmap. We'll walk through the 5 key phases of this blueprint. We're going to start with the big picture, the master blueprint itself. Then we'll move into strategy and tech. Then product and partners, on to the people who bring it all to life, and finally, how you keep a massive project like this on track. Let's get started. All right, first things first, what exactly is this master blueprint? And more importantly, why is it something you absolutely cannot afford to get wrong when launching a new hotel?
The critical path is the absolute backbone of a pre-opening project. Think of it as a super detailed step-by-step plan that sequences every single task needed to get the hotel's commercial engine fired up. That's its ability to take reservations and sell rooms. Literally nothing is left to chance.
And this right here, this is why it's so vital. The stakes are incredibly high. A single missed deadline, even a year and a half before you open, can directly hurt your revenue from day one. It's a domino effect, and trust me, it's a very costly one. So, where does a journey like this even begin? Well, we have to go way back. Let's look at the foundational phase, which kicks off a full 18 months before the doors open. This is all about big picture strategy and the core technology. Here's a bird's eye view of the entire timeline we're going to cover. Notice how it all starts a year and a half out with planning and budgeting. Only then do you move into selecting your technology. And only after that's done can you even start thinking about rates, partners, and hiring your team. So let's break down that first block. In this initial phase, it is all about laying that crucial groundwork. You're locking down the budget for all the tech you're going to need, and you're defining your long-term commercial strategy. But the real linchpin here is the market feasibility study. This research tells you everything: projected demand, how high you can actually price your rooms, and where your bookings are likely to come from. Without this data, you're just flying blind. Okay, with a solid strategy in hand, you move on to selecting your core technology. This is basically the hotel's central nervous system. You've got the PMS, the property management system, for everything happening on site. The CRS, or central reservation system, handles all the bookings, and the channel manager connects you to all your online sellers. These are huge decisions, which is why you have to get those vendor contracts signed early. It allows for the long setup and integration process that has to follow. All right, the foundational tech has been chosen. Now the focus has to shift. Let's see how we build on that foundation by activating your product and bringing your partners into the mix.
This is such a logical and critical transition. You've basically built the empty digital shelves. That's your CRS and your PMS. Now you have to fill those shelves with the products you're actually going to sell. This means building out your entire room and rate structure completely from scratch.
Now, the thing to really appreciate here is the sheer volume of work that's happening all at once. You're not just mapping out room types and rate codes inside your systems. At the exact same time, you're establishing relationships and signing contracts with every single distribution partner, from the GDS for travel agents to the big OTAs and wholesalers. It is a massive undertaking in both contracting and technical setup. So we've got the strategy, we've got the technology, and we've got the product. What's missing? Well, the people who are going to run it all. This next phase is all about building that team and defining the processes they'll use. Here's a piece of advice that is absolutely crucial. You cannot wait until the last minute to hire your core commercial team. We're talking specifically about your head of reservations and your revenue manager. They need to be in their roles during the technology setup phase so they can understand, influence, and ultimately own the systems they'll be using day in and day out. And this really gets to the heart of the philosophy behind hiring early. The technology has to serve the team's operational needs. When you have your key people involved in the setup, they make sure the system is configured to match their ideal workflow. Forcing a great team to adapt to a poorly set up system, that's a classic and totally avoidable pre-opening mistake. So you've got this incredibly detailed, complex plan that stretches out over a year and a half. How on earth do you make sure it actually stays on track? Let's talk about how the critical path is managed day to day. One of the most common ways these projects fail is when people treat the critical path like a document they create once and then file away. It's not. It absolutely has to be a living document, something that is reviewed every single week by the hotel's leadership team to track progress, identify any roadblocks, and hold people accountable. And this is a simple example of what that tracking looks like in the real world. You can use a simple color-coded system, and just at a glance, anyone on the leadership team can see the health of the entire project. There's no guesswork about what's done, what's being worked on, and most importantly, what might be falling behind schedule. Now, here is the secret sauce. This requires real discipline. There is no 80% done. A task is either complete or it's incomplete. It's binary. This simple approach removes all ambiguity. It forces clear communication and makes it impossible to hide delays, which ensures everyone stays accountable for what they promise to deliver. So, from securing a budget 18 months out, to defining workflows, to tracking every single milestone, the pre-opening critical path is the ultimate blueprint for a successful hotel launch. It takes what could be a chaotic, complex process and turns it into a structured, manageable, and, in the end, profitable journey. The only question left is when it's your turn to lead, will your blueprint be ready?